Straw Hut Media.
Hello, Rewinders, and happy Halloween!
This is Halloween, this is Halloween.
And if you're listening to this after Halloween, I hope it was a good one for you and that you're happy to keep the spooky vibes going. I'm your host, Mark J. Parker, a film lover and filmmaker, and this is Release Date Rewind, a podcast that celebrates movie anniversaries that you can listen to on the Straw Hut Media Network, wherever you get your podcasts, and that you can watch on YouTube. I just got back from a trip to Orlando for Spooky Empire, and I tacked on a couple days at Disney World, and we have a big Disney movie to celebrate on this special day. It's a tale of two Sallys here on the show this month, as you just heard me chat in my last episode about Sandra Bullock as Sally Owens in Practical Magic for its 25th anniversary. And now we'll talk about a different Sally and Jack Skellington and Oogie Boogie and all their friends as we celebrate 30 years of The Nightmare Before Christmas. We don't often talk about musicals on this show, and we rarely discuss animation, so this is gonna be fun. This memorable, unusual, award-winning work of art went wide in theaters across the US on October 29th, 1993, and over the decades it has become one of Disney's most adored stories. We're going to talk about everything and all the little details, so if you haven't seen this movie or you need to rewatch, you can catch it on Disney+.
Now, you probably wondered where holidays come from. If you haven't, I'd say it's time you begun.
All right, citizens of Halloween Town, Christmas Town, and all other towns, why don't you hop in my sleigh, because it's time to rewind. Okay, everybody, I am over the moon, over the full moon. I don't think it's a full moon, but we can just pretend. I'm over the moon that my friend, who I haven't actually gotten to talk to in a while, my friend, actress, movie fan, she does everything. She's the busiest. She's behind the scenes as well, everybody. Heather Drew is here on Release Date Rewind. Heather, welcome.
Hey, I am so happy to be here and talk about all things Nightmare Before Christmas. Anything you want to ask, let's just spitball. Let's go for this.
Oh, I'm so happy. I am so happy you're here. We were just talking a second ago. So everybody, why I wanted specifically Heather, not only to just be on the show in general, but for this movie is she's a little spooky too. We love our horror. We love our like a spooky season October-y vibe, right? All the time, not even just on October.
Yeah,
but
just life.
Fun fact, right? Just in life. Fun fact, everyone. So this was probably, I want to say it was back in, was it like 2017 or 18, back when I lived in New York. I'm in Maine now, but when I lived in New York and Heather's in Jersey, they brought Catherine O'Hara, Danny Elfman, I think even Paul Rubens, the late great Paul Rubens. They brought a bunch of people back, Ken Page, to Brooklyn, to, why can't I think of the venue right now?
Barclays.
Barclays,
I'll never forget Barclays.
Right, exactly. So Barclays, 2 nights, I remember it was December, I want to say, 2017, 2018. 2 nights they brought them back, and it was like a live orchestra, and the actors were there, and they're playing the movie, and whenever a song would start, right, these big stars, these beautiful voices would come out and sing live. And I remember I couldn't make it to a film festival award show that our film Sticks was in because we already got tickets to Nightmare Before Christmas Live, and I was like, ooh, God, that was work getting those tickets. I don't think I can make it. But I know Heather went, and that was the night she won Best Actress for Sticks, that you were our winner. And I was so bummed. I was so excited, but also so bummed. It was so bittersweet because I'm like, oh my God, I wish I was there. That's amazing. But also I had the best time, at Barclays. So, but I remember you had gone the night before to see, the live show. And so you had like an awesome little 2-nighter. One night you're seeing a great movie again, and then the next night you're winning an award for a movie. So that's just my little like nerdy brain making the connection that like, I'm going to see if Heather Drew's available. And I am so proud, obviously to this day, that you won Best Actress from, that was the, oh my gosh, do you remember which one it was? That was the Northeast Horror
yes, Northeast Film Festival in Bergenfield or Teaneck, New Jersey.
I think it's in Teaneck, I believe.
I
Ooh,
think you're right. Hold on.
my
I
brain
put
these
it up for
days. Oh my God, do you have it?
just
Oh my
because
gosh.
I
Wow, it's
did.
beautiful. I am so proud of you. Well, yeah, what does it say? Let's see. Northeast. Oh, yeah, Northeast Film Festival Horror Fest.
Horror
I think it's,
Fest.
yes.
Yep.
Wow, Best Actress for Sticks, a movie that, oh my gosh, all the work we did in that crazy weekend in Maine, but I'm so glad you're in it. You're obviously one of the shining stars, and you got an award out of it,
Well worth it
right?
for that weekend. It was so much fun and such a good movie. So just to plug
Oh,
Sticks again, everyone should watch it.
well, let's talk about thank you, and let's talk about all the amazing work that you're doing, Heather. So, if anyone doesn't know Heather Drew, where you been? But second of all, she is such a busy actress in different genres, but especially horror, thriller, mystery. You know, the good dark stuff. That's how I knew about Heather. We shared a mutual friend, Pamela Kramer, where we both took her acting class. And Heather, do you still work with Pamela at all in class? Do you hang out much?
No, not for a
Okay.
while, but I've still been taking classes at the Actors Connection.
Yes.
But with the pandemic and everything, I haven't seen her in a while. Just
Yep.
life. But
Absolutely.
such an amazing class. So much
Oh my
fun.
God, so much fun, and you meet great people in there, and not even in your actual class. Like there's a whole Facebook group of other people who have taken the class, and it's been going strong all these years later. I think I was in the very first horror acting class she did at Actors Connection back in like the beginning of 2011, I believe. So it's been a long time.
Ooh,
But anyway, Heather, tell
original.
us. Yeah, OG, right?
Hmm.
So Heather's like totally in the indie horror film world in New York, New Jersey, in that whole area. That's how we got to meet. But what have you been up to lately? Because, girl, you are busy. I see online on social, you're winning awards. You're in different films that are playing everywhere. Tell us what's been happening lately.
Well, I've been lucky enough. I was the lead and a co-producer on a short called Follower.
Yeah,
And thankfully and wonderfully, I'm blessed. We have been sweeping the film festival market.
love
So
it.
it's beyond my wildest expectations. So I've been up for nominated a couple times for Best Actress as well. And the other
Good.
actor, Patrick Devaney, who just won last week at the Grindhouse Film Festival. So he won Best
Fun.
Actor.
The
And then
Grindhouse
I
Film
do film
Festival.
production.
Where's Grindhouse? Is that in Jersey?
Cranford, New Jersey. And it was
Oh,
such a
okay.
fun venue. So
Oh,
much fun. And they
nice.
had like
Okay.
live performances as well. So there was like a burlesque show in between movies and then
Fun.
performances. It was great. Really, really
Love
good.
that. Oh, I'll add it to my list because I have a new film that's actually premiering this weekend at Spooky Empire in Orlando. And they also do like live horror burlesque, and there's some cool things on the schedule. So yeah, see, that's the thing, everybody. It's more than just horror. There's a whole vibe. There's a whole
Yeah.
life to it, right? But tell me, you were also saying you were doing something else.
I work in film. Like that
Yes.
is my job. So I do film production as my full time.
Love it.
And then acting wise, even though there's a strike, there's still so much to do. So I
Oh,
did
of
an episode of
course.
What Would You Do, which
Yes, you
we have a little
did.
connection for. I don't know
Yes.
how much I can
I
say,
was
but
like on it. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm so glad you were able to do that. A great little episode. Maybe we won't go into detail with what you did. I don't know when it's airing. It's so funny, this whole strike business. Like the whole reason that ABC wanted to bring back What Would You Do was to, because it ended and they wanted to really focus on Disney Plus, and of course things change, and it had been on for years. I've worked on the show now 10 years on and off. And the whole point of bringing it back was to fill time slots because they didn't have anything. But then all of a sudden, after you shot your scenario, and what was that? That was like late July. I had just come back that
August,
week.
maybe.
Was it early August?
I
Yeah.
think it was the first week of August, like
Oh my
right
gosh.
2 days after the strike or something like that.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah. It was early on, yeah. But since
yeah.
this was a SAG show, but is different than obviously the striking contract. This is the network TV code, so it's like soap operas and variety specials and like all the other stuff. Some talk shows even are under it, right? But yeah, I was pulled onto it and literally hit the ground running. They had already cast like a week of shoots. I'm like, whoa, guys, okay. Yeah. I used to do this all by myself, and now I'm like, oh my God, wait, teach me what to do here, because it's such a new crew now. But I'm thinking Heather Drew would be so good for this one role. So I'm like, all right, let me make a little list. Let me bring in some actors on Zoom. It was all on Zoom. First time, I mean, I had been casting on Zoom for a while, but for a show like that, whereas, it's kind of complicated. You're acting and then you're hearing the lines in your ear. First time I've ever done it on Zoom. That was usually always an in-person thing. So I'm like, how's this going to work. But it worked out super well. And Heather was available, and we were like, yeah, it's obviously going to be Heather Drew. And
Yeah.
did you have fun? It's got to be
Oh
so
my gosh,
crazy,
yeah.
right?
It's so unique to any other experience I've ever had on set, especially because you know that there's cameras, but you don't see them. So you're going through the scene, and then there's this added element of new people and how they're reacting. And it's just kind of like, it was almost like an improv stage play, but there were a guideline of what to say. There was a script, but it could go way off. And then you have to somehow get back there. So it was so much fun.
Totally. Oh, totally, Heather. It's it's funny because it's a long running show. Yes, it's a little cheesy, but what's special about it is, and what's kept me there for so long casting the show is, it's segments are shown in schools. Like they go viral on YouTube and on TikTok now. Like, I mean, like some of the segments really do really make an impact, So some of it's funny, some of it's serious, but it's a tricky show. So I'm glad you had fun. And obviously we had worked on Sticks back in, oh my God, can you believe it? We shot it back in 2015. So for years, I'm like, I got to get Heather a nice paying gig on What Would You Do? And I'm sorry it took so long, but I'm glad it finally happened.
Oh, I'm no complaints here.
Good.
Totally happy.
Before we move on to Nightmare Before Christmas, the real topic, tell us, what are some things you've been doing behind the scenes when you are working in film production? Because I do a little bit of that as well. What specifically, Heather, have you been working on, and in what roles?
Sure. So I just AD'd a film this summer called Regarding Veronica. That'll be out soon. I do a lot of live broadcast shows too. So it's a lot of on the spot stuff. So that's where my home is. I love doing that.
I love that. So for local TV, is that what it is? Or like, is it online?
So what I always say is it's comparable to TED Talks.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a mock TED Talk that we will shoot. Some of them are internal. Some of them are on the internet. It's a vast different field. So there's some of it's pharmaceutical, and that's internal, and then there's all different topics you can film.
Wow. Yeah, I know you've been working a lot in like pharmaceutical kind of internal corporate video stuff. You've been like in that kind of world for a long time, right?
Yeah, I've been doing that for, oh my gosh, it's got to be about 10 years now, but I still do films, and I do shorts. So I'll co-produce shorts. I'll associate produce as well. I try to also network people together. So because I go to all these film festivals, I'm at a film festival every weekend.
Heather, you are, and honestly, it is so impressive because Heather went to almost every possible film festival that Sticks got in. Not to brag, but Sticks, my short that Heather starred in, I got into like 40 film festivals. I also went really overboard. I was like, all right, let's just like get this out there. My first like real short, I've definitely scaled back because also my wallet cried. But no, It was fun, and it was so fun to see you there at some events. I wish I stayed longer, and I know as indie filmmakers, networking and being there as much as you can is important. That's why I'm going down to Florida, because normally, I don't know if I'm just crazy, but like, it's actually so stressful for me to see a short I make in a screening room with people, because I'm like, oh my God, okay, don't glitch. I hope it like plays okay. I hope we can hear it. Like I am like a ball of nerves. So I don't love it. And then also like talking to people and like Q&As are always fun. Don't get me wrong. Love that part. But then it's like, filmmaker lounge networking. I'm like, hi, so like it's a little tough for me. Obviously chatting with people isn't so tough, but just when you're like kind of sharing film stuff, it can get a little overwhelming. But I love that you are a social butterfly. Like you said, you're at every film festival every weekend. How do you do it?
I think also the fact that I have been to so many, I can gravitate towards certain people that I do know and kind of go in a little group.
Yeah.
But it's kind of winging it every time. I've learned that going to award shows is very, very fun, and you have something to say to each person, which is helpful. You have an opening line. That's
true. Good thinking. Okay.
If I go to like an intro, which is like a filmmakers meetup, I don't do as well because I don't know what to say to anyone. Yep.
That's a great point. Yeah. It's almost like it has to be after you see the film or after they win an award, where it's like, hey, congrats. Loved it. I really, once you have a starting point, it's when it's just like, hey, I made this. Oh, what'd you, then it's like, okay. And that's like when I'm going to have another drink. And then I'm like, so yeah, it can be a little awkward, but it can also, of course, as we know, be super gratifying, super awesome and special. And also just the horror thriller community is, whether you're a fan or a filmmaker, I mean, we all love this kind of stuff. And it is overall, I'd say, pretty darn supportive, which is amazing because not every film community is that supportive.
So actually, I do have something. I don't have it yet. So this is, but I am signing up to do a scholarship from Shauna Shea. So fingers crossed.
Nice.
And it's for first-time film directors who are female. And it's to support them. You're supposed to go in without a script, no network, nothing.
Oh,
and
nice.
I went to the film festival where Follower luckily won Best Short. And
right. Congrats, by the way. That's amazing. I know
you.
that festival is a pretty big deal.
Thank you. But the whole point of this was that after the festival, a bunch of us went out to go eat. I hadn't met many of them, brand new. And I had mentioned that I would like to apply for it. And in 30 seconds, I had someone be like, I can edit it. I will help you cast. I will find you a DP. And it was they were embracing me. And I hadn't even signed up for it yet. And they're already like, well, help. Let's get you in this.
That's so cool. And, honestly, that is so rare. That is so rare nowadays. I mean, and by the way, I will gladly help remotely if you need me, casting or whatever, producing. You got your people. You know what you're doing. But wait, we need to back up. So you're directing a short? Is that the plan?
That's the intention. Yes.
Okay. And I forget, have you ever directed before? No. About
I've
time,
done
Heather.
Every other position possible, including audio.
And I love that you AD as well, because I do that a lot and it's hard work and there aren't enough good indie ADs who aren't like super duper expensive. So keep that in mind as well. And also, I truly need you to be in one of my shorts again. I mean, I think about it. I'm like, okay, can I fit Heather in here where like maybe even a voice? Like what can I actually really want you one day to be in a short where you are the killer. You are under the mask. Have you ever done that? You've been villains.
Okay. Have I been villains? I have, but for like a second. Like not someone who's the villain the entire time or someone who just kind of switches for a moment.
Okay.
But I would love to play a true villain.
Oh, yeah. Like, because I have this dark, twisted thriller, short horror thing. Very gay. And I will say no more. I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, there's this role that I could see you playing. And also, I feel like you're aging in reverse. Like
me?
Yes, you look younger than ever. It's crazy.
I'll take it.
We'll be right back.
Now, Walt Disney Pictures is joining forces with Tim Burton, the creative genius behind Batman, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands, to bring you one of the most unique and innovative movies of our time, The Nightmare Before Christmas. This historic teaming of extraordinary talents is taking three-dimensional animation to unprecedented new heights. The result is a revolutionary new motion picture experience that will take you to a new world beyond anything you've ever imagined.
It goes something like this.
Coming to theaters everywhere for the 1993 holiday season from Walt Disney Pictures.
I got my Disney sweater on. Yeah, what do you have, Heather? Show me.
Nightmare Before Christmas, Lock, Stock, and Barrel.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The back is even better too.
I got my Mickey sweater on because this is Disney, although we'll get into it. Disney kind of wanted to shun it for a bit, but now they're obsessed with it because like any cool thing that wasn't a huge massive hit from the start, now they fully embrace it. But anyway, Heather, we have already started the discussion. Let's rewind. Everybody, we are rewinding to October 29th, 1993. That is when The Nightmare Before Christmas opened wide. Now, it did open a couple weeks prior, limited theaters across the country, and then each week a few more. But October 29th, that final weekend of Halloween, right before the holiday, that's when it was in the most theaters. That's when it went wide. Okay? So, Heather, what I'll do is, I'm first, like I always do, I'll set the scene and just talk a little bit about some pop culture at the time. On the music side, my friends, Dream Lover by Mariah Carey was still the #1 song. If you listen to my episode on The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin that we talked about last month, it was brand new to the top charts, but she was still the song of fall, I guess, Dream Lover. But Ace of Base, All That She Wants, one of my favorite jams, that was creeping up to the top spot. That was in the top 5, Gotta love Ace of Base. Were you an Ace of Base fan, Heather? Are you?
Oh, that she won't. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I can't sing, but I can repeat the words.
Oh, well, I can't sing either, but I feel like, especially with this movie, there's going to be like a little bit of singing involved in this episode. So everybody, you've been warned. So those were a couple fun songs on the music side. Other popular movies at this time: Demolition Man, of course, with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock, who is in Practical Magic, which I just talked about in my last episode. So a little Sandy connection there. Demolition Man was huge. The Beverly Hillbillies, I have a soft spot for that movie. That was with like Jim Varney, Lily Tomlin. That had its little moment. Malice with Nicole Kidman. And I want to say Bill Pullman, if I remember correctly. That was a fun little thriller. Yeah, dark thriller in the early 90s. And another dark thriller that I love. Did you ever see, Heather, a movie called Judgment Night? It's with Stephen Dorff, Cuba Gooding Jr., I believe, Emilio Estevez. It's like a good, very lean, early 90s thriller. I forget exactly what happens. It's been a while, but I know it's like this group of guy friends get in trouble with like these local bad guys, and it's just one crazy night trying to survive. It's a really good thriller.
Off the
Check
top
it out.
of my head, no, but I love thrillers.
Oh,
as much
yeah.
as I love horror, like thrillers and sci-fi and suspense.
Oh, yeah. Especially like a nice kind of like lean. It's like a straightforward thriller. You know, those are so good. They're always so good, where it's not too complicated. It's just like guy or girl or someone's just trying to survive and like make it to the end. And like, it's like an hour and a half. Sign me right up. Totally.
Yep.
So that had just come out as well. So those were some popular movies in the top 10. But in comes The Nightmare Before Christmas, or I should say the official title, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, Heather, do you know why they added the Tim Burtons to the title? Because that wasn't the original title. It was just going to be The Nightmare Before Christmas. Do you know the backstory there?
Not 100% certain, but I know he didn't direct it. I think it was his vision, but it was directed by Henry Selick, which is something a lot of people don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it was from his, and it was off of Tim Burton's poems. So I think maybe that's why.
Exactly. Yes. So here's a little bit of backstory, and also a really fun episode. There's that Netflix show that they haven't made it in a while, but there's a fun episode all about this movie on the show, The Movies That Made Us. And I think it's a great show. They do lots of interviews with Henry Selick, with the whole crew and the creatives, and even some Disney execs and all that. So there's some good info there. But yes, Heather, Tim Burton was a Disney animator, of course, in the 80s. And while he was there doing the typical Disney stuff, he would be known to draw his more scary, weird, kooky, drawings, characters. And so that's where he met Henry Selick. He met a lot of the team, and he started developing this idea. What's crazy is, so he couldn't direct the film because he was already busy by this point. He had the massive success with Pee-wee and Batman and Beetlejuice. I mean, like, iconic. And so he now, right? Exactly. I mean, Beetlejuice is one of my, like, bow down. I mean, Batman. Oh my God.
Both of them are top 5. The part of the reason I exist and do movies is because of Batman and Beetlejuice.
Amen. And I've talked about Edward Scissorhands for its 30th anniversary on this show. I mean, one of the best ever, like creepy, beautiful, emotional. Anyway, this was like peak. I mean, I always loved Tim Burton. I actually have not seen much of Wednesday. I saw the first episode, but there's a lot going on. So like, I feel like there's so many shows I don't finish, but I do need to continue it. So I still enjoy his stuff. I know he's not maybe as perfect as he was back at this time, right? But put on anything Tim
Wednesday's
Burton, my
close.
eyes are gonna. You like it? You're a fan?
Wednesday's really good.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's good to know. But no, this was like height of the Burton takeover in Hollywood. And so because Batman, as we know, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, was so massively huge, he was now busy with directing Batman Returns. He was obligated to do that. He could no longer direct The Nightmare Before Christmas now that Disney actually wanted to make it. He pitches his idea, his little poem and his sketches to Disney in the 80s, and they're like, go away. But now all of a sudden, now that he's so popular, it's like, oh, actually come back, you can do whatever you want, let's make Nightmare Before Christmas. He can't, right? So in comes Henry Selick. Tim Burton says, I want you to direct, since he had done a lot of stop motion animation and short films and a lot of MTV cool crazy stuff. And so that's why a lot of people get confused because Disney plastered Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas on it as a marketing tool.
Because of his success with Batman.
Yes, because people
Beetlejuice.
started really knowing his name and his aesthetic,
Yeah.
right? With Beetlejuice and all that it's like, oh, and also apparently they did that, if I remember reading this correctly, Disney decided to put his name on it once test screenings for the finished film actually weren't going so well. They brought in kids and some kids were really not getting it and it was not as exciting as they were all hoping for. So they thought, yikes. And that's when it actually moved from Disney releasing it to still within their company, Touchstone Pictures. It is not actually Disney. Now it says Disney, but back then, you'll see if you rewatch the movie, it's Touchstone, baby. They're like, we're going to put this on like that side of things, right? We don't really want to have the Disney logo on it. It'll be Touchstone. So it's all because of those early test screenings that I guess some people were either too scared or they didn't get it or it just wasn't really, I guess, what they wanted. I say, I think it's amazing. Are you kidding? I loved it. I saw this in theaters. Did you see this in theaters? Do you remember?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You saw it at home.
I did. So the first time I saw it, if you don't mind me talking about that for a little,
Yes.
I was over at my cousin's for Christmas Eve, and they had gotten the DVD of it, and we watched it, and it changed my world.
Oh, yes. Tell me.
I was glued to it.
Yeah. How old were you? Do you remember roughly how old you were?
I had to be maybe 9 or 10, maybe.
Yeah.
And then we watched it subsequently every year on Christmas Eve.
Interesting. Now, this is a really great, I'm loving that we're getting into this because this is a really great question. Do you think it's a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? It sounds like you gravitate more towards watching it during Christmas time. What would you say? It's a Christmas movie?
So it's both.
It's both, right?
But it does screen in theaters. Like I just saw it in 3D on Friday.
Yes.
It screens during Halloween.
'Twas not long ago. Think back if you dare. About Tim Burton's tale of a Christmas nightmare. The holiday tradition with nasty intentions has come back to life in 3 wicked dimensions.
And I'll have to show you guys pictures too. Outside my house right now, I have blow up of all of the characters. I have Oogie Boogie with the spinning wheel with the skeleton, the mayor who turns and he spins, and you'll see the 2 different heads. And the 13-foot Jack Skellington that talks. He sings.
Oh, he sings. Okay, now is this all one piece or is it separate pieces?
All separate pieces.
Wow.
And then the trees have like the egg and the shamrock and Christmas.
Oh my gosh, Heather, you have spent some money on your Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween decorations. I love it. Yes,
I will say it's mostly my best friend. We combined it to do a display. She does all that.
Well, you're doing the Lord's work. Oh, be careful. There go the troublemakers, lock, stock, and barrel. I don't have something nearly as cool, but this year we did buy a little Zero. Jack's dog is hanging in the tree right over our driveway. So Zero, welcomes everyone. But yeah, so I'm glad. Okay, so you saw this at home, DVD, Christmas time. And so you said then for years you watched it at Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas Eve every year.
Cool.
For 15 years straight.
Wow. Yeah, so I saw this in theaters. I must have been, 93. I was, oh gosh, math. I think I was only like 6.5-ish. So I was young, but I loved horror and anything dark and mysterious at a very young age. And I'm pretty sure I saw this at least with my mom. I can't remember if it was mom and dad, but I know mom and I went. And I remember the theater was crowded. But I know that a lot of people did not gravitate towards this movie. Like, I don't remember many friends. I mean, it was a long, long time ago, 30 years ago. So I don't really remember who exactly I was friends with. But I feel like I was really one of the only kids around that went to see it opening weekend, but I loved Halloween. Are you kidding? So here's this spooky animated movie. Yeah, mom, take me now. Right. And so much like you, as the years went on, are you kidding? I had the VHS. Later, I got the DVD. I remember my sister and I went whenever that first year was, I guess in the mid 2000s when they started re-releasing it in 3D, because they did that for a couple years. Then they stopped. And like you said, they brought it back in theaters. What was it like seeing it in 3D? So was this the first time you've ever seen it in a theater?
Actually, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Or at least one of the very few times, right? I think I saw it in addition to when I first saw it in 3D, I think, when I lived in the city, there's the, it's not there anymore, the Sunshine Cinema down on Houston Street would play midnight movies. And I'm pretty sure I went to Nightmare Before Christmas like that. But yeah.
Something like Halloween themed party.
Exactly.
And it's yeah.
Yep, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So did you have a good time seeing it in the theater now? Yeah.
And you know what was so amazing is I've seen it 100,000 times. This is probably the most watched movie. It is the most watched movie I've ever watched.
Oh, love it.
And I saw different little details in 3D. Like I didn't realize when the mayor is doing his speech in the town hall, all of the pews or all the benches are lit by what is it? Lightning bugs? Lightning bugs.
Yes.
Taped to the bottom. And that's what illuminates the eyes.
Yeah.
I never noticed.
Yeah.
But
I know.
The little things. Oh
like
my gosh.
little twisted little details, right? I know. Yeah. And side note, I love the mayor. Like I always think whenever I watch this movie or just do a deep dive on it, I always think, first of all, it's crazy that we have not gotten like a live musical stage adaptation yet. I know it's very precious, and I feel like there's a big risk in doing that because, that's got to be amazing. How do you really pull off Jack Skellington, like if he's just a normal, but I am shocked we don't even get like, I don't know, something at Disney World, like like Jack's live musical review. I'm just surprised they did not embrace a live musical stage adaptation. Yeah. And point 2 is, if there ever was, oh my God, like I would dream of being the mayor because it's side roles like that. It's supporting characters like that are like that are so odd. And like you said,
they're my favorite. I like supporting characters way better.
I totally agree with you. I like Jack. Don't get me wrong. Jack and Sally, iconic, amazing roles. Love them. We'll get into why we love them and what we love about them. But it's those supporting characters. And especially in a film like this, you got the mayor, you have Oogie. Yeah. Boogie, are you kidding? You have Santa Claus, you have the trio, I even love the vampires and the witches. They have some of the best lines in the songs,
My two favorite lines in the whole movie are not Jack and Sally.
What are they?
One of them is when the band is playing, Jack walks across the screen and the guy who's playing the saxophone goes, what does he say? What's up, Bone Daddy?
Yeah, Bone Daddy, yep, love it.
And then the mayor, when he's going to find Jack and he's not home, and he goes, I'm just an elected official, I can't make any decisions. Yeah. And says it in that way.
I know. I love his voice. How you said how he spins, how he's like Jack, and then then he turns and now he's gray and he's got the teeth and he's angry, and I just, as a kid, I'm like, oh, that would be so fun. Like he makes me think of like oh gosh, Jim Broadbent in Moulin Rouge, who plays Zidler, the guy who runs the Moulin Rouge, like just this big, larger than life supporting character. Like how much fun would that be? It'd be exhausting doing that every night on Broadway or something, but wow. Like it's those roles that I'm drawn to for sure, Heather. Yeah. And even like the vampires and the witches, like I always, oh my gosh, what's one of my favorite lines? Now, of course, I'm talking about it, I can't remember, but and of course, the epic This Is Halloween, the first number, absolutely iconic. The werewolf says, aren't you scared? Well, that's just fine. And it's so simple. You're like, really? That's the line? But I say that like all the time. Like at least once a week, I'm like, aren't you scared? Well, that's just fine. Say it once, say it. Like, oh, God, it's perfect. It's perfect, right? Yeah. So I love that you love this and that you have seen it. It seems like more than I've seen it. I've seen it a ton, but I think I am with a true nightmare expert.
Welcome to an extraordinary world filled with magic and wonder. Open your mind and let yourself go to a place where every day is Halloween and every night Jack Skellington,
I am the Pumpkin King,
dreams of something different.
So now, Heather, I'm going to throw it over to you, expert. Pitch me in your own words. It doesn't need to be very long. For anyone out there who's living under a rock, who decided to listen to this episode before watching the movie, that's totally fine, but you do you. I want you, Heather, to pitch me. I'm the studio exec. I'm Disney. You're Tim Burton, whatever. What is The Nightmare Before Christmas in your own words? What's it about?
That's a tough one. There's so many layers to this movie.
There are, yeah.
And it's embracing of holiday traditions, and it's also understanding other people's cultures, but it's all in this scope of joyous wonderment and celebration. It's everything spooky. It's everything you love, but in a palatable way, and something that kids and adults can both enjoy. And as you grow older, you understand it on more levels, and you really break it down and go, "Oh my gosh, this is alluding to this major concept and this thing in life, that a life lesson you need to know." You know?
Absolutely, yes, yeah, well said, absolutely. And like any really great movie, it's you want to rewatch them, and you want, maybe not every year, but like every few years, and you look at it and you're like, I never caught that, or I never actually thought of it that way. It's why I do this show. It's why, like, let's rewind and watch a movie we love and see how it holds up. What new things do you discover? What things can you just not wait to see or hear because you just love that part so much, We really see Jack's inspiration and his ideas, and he's got this brilliant mind, but then also his downfall. There's still, of course, a happy ending, right? But we see him truly fall from the heavens because he was way too ambitious, and he wasn't like Sally's telling him, right? Like, he's not thinking of everything. He's got to slow it down. He doesn't mean to, but he's kind of ruining everything because he's so in love with things. That's what's like really interesting and mature about this film, is how you can love something so much, and in the process of loving it, you're really tarnishing it. That's deep. Right?
I think the craziest thing for me was also learning one of the hardest lessons in life is, even if you have the absolute best intentions and you're doing something for the correct reasons, and you're trying to help, or you're trying to make something better, or to do your best, you're not judged by your intentions, you're judged by your actions. And sometimes those actions are not in alignment with what other people think and what they want. Yeah. So you can end up hurting someone and you don't mean to. So he wants to bring a new perspective to Christmas Town and infuse Halloween Town and make it better. Yeah. And it's like, no, your stuff is not better than Christmas Town. All the things you're imposing are not working, and it's scaring people, and it wasn't his intention. But then he has this redemption song and realizes, what have I done? I've screwed it all up. But in that moment, you realize, one, that he's almost got a human aspect to him. And like, we do make mistakes, but we just have to rise from them and do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're so right. I mean, what is new and shiny and cool for everyone, that's great, but it doesn't necessarily last. It's not necessarily meant for you to take, right? Yep. The taking of the thing is really interesting and speaks to so many things, even in our current world, like, yeah, it's such a great fairy tale in such a beautifully dark, crazy, chaotic world, So it's a feast for the eyes, and it's claymation. It's beautiful, and you probably saw this somewhere too, I bet, and you probably knew this. Like, I heard they would only be able to make 1 minute of footage a week. That's how long stop motion animation takes. It took a full 2 years or something. The budget went from 18 million to 24 million. Luckily, the Disney execs saw what they were doing and liked it so much that they're like, no, don't cut things. Here's a few more. I mean, to them, that's really not that much, right? Yeah. But yeah, the budget blew up a bit, the timing, going back to that Netflix episode I watched of the movies that made us, it also kind of painted Tim Burton as sort of hard to work with. Like I said, he was busy on Batman Returns, so he wasn't really super hands-on. But when he was, it seems like, the screenwriter and the producers, they all were kind of saying, like, he either was like, great, sounds good, see ya, or he was like, apparently kicking a hole in the wall because he hated their possible ending change. There was going to be a different ending where... And we can jump around here. And spoilers, obviously, are part of the mix. Everyone knows. But
you've had 30-something years.
Exactly. Come on now. It's on you. But an ending they were considering doing was not what we ended up getting, but that Oogie Boogie was revealed to be Dr. What's his name? Finkelstein? Yes. It was him all along. And he was just controlling this Oogie Boogie puppet, and he was actually doing it. And Tim Burton apparently hated that so much. I think that's when he kicked a hole in the wall of the offices, where someone even wrote, I guess it was like that for a while, Tim Burton kicked this hole or something. Like something crazy, like, whoa, temper. And he had been known to shout at the screenwriters, shout at some people, if he really did not like their idea. So I sort of understand this was his baby, this was his vision, even if he didn't direct it or wasn't really there every day. But dude, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a that's the crazy thing, both the positive and the negative about filmmaking, as you know, is it's a collaborative thing. It's a joint thing. So
Respect your crew. I know that a lot of people have flare-up moments, but kicking stuff doesn't solve anything.
Oh, yeah. So maybe, he was still younger at this time. He was still a newer hotshot director. So
I hate to say it was a different time too, not to excuse any behavior.
Absolutely. No, you're so right. Yeah, exactly. It was a different time when people were allowed and able to do that, especially, as we know, male directors, male executives, all the time, only up until recently. And sadly, it's probably still going on in some offices, right? We're not naive. But let me tell you just a little bit more about how this was made. And then, Heather, I want to hear your favorite parts, favorite songs, favorite moments. Speaking of the songs. So we talked about Tim Burton. We talked about where he was, the money and all that. He brings in his collaborator of multiple films already, Danny Elfman, the one and only, the superstar, Danny Elfman. You all out there, you might not know his name, some of you. You absolutely know his music. It is some of the most iconic movie music, right? Mm-hmm. So Danny Elfman, we already know he worked with Burton on Batman, Beetlejuice, pretty much everything, right?
Didn't he do the Simpsons soundtrack too?
Yes, the Simpsons, absolutely. And he was known in, like, I think it was late 70s, mostly 80s, Oingo Boingo, a band. Mm-hmm. He has this iconic, very strange theatrical voice, which is, as we know, so perfect to be the singing voice of Jack Skellington, right? So he gets involved because, of course, he and Tim make magic together. Mm-hmm. He became Jack's singing voice because he was, of course, coming up with the songs, writing out the lyrics, fleshing out, these drawings that Tim had made and that the team had started storyboarding because there wasn't really a script yet. They were originally working with a writer named Michael McDowell, who worked with Tim Burton on Beetlejuice. He wrote Beetlejuice, but apparently Michael McDowell was very slow at getting the script together. Apparently, would sort of steal Danny Elfman's lyrics and just sort of reformat them in the dialogue and just say they were like his lines. Like, it was not working out, right? Yeah. So as the script is sort of in turmoil, that's why they focus first on the songs. And so Danny Elfman is basically kind of getting this going with his great songs. And that's why he ended up becoming Jack's voice, singing voice. Now, apparently, I didn't know this until recently, that he was also going to just play Jack, even his acting lines. But apparently his acting was so stiff, so kind of wooden, that's when they brought in another great actor. They brought in Chris Sarandon.
Oh, I thought, I messed it up. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
Yes. It is Chris Sarandon, who we know is in Fright Night, who was in Child's Play. He had some good horror cred. It's Chris Sarandon, of course, Princess Bride. Yep. Right? So Chris Sarandon, which is funny because for years, for decades, I did not know, first of all, that it was him. Although it makes perfect sense. You can hear it. Yeah. And I didn't realize it's two different voices. You just think it's all Danny Elfman. It's like, it's actually not. Wow, they did that very well. They really blended that together, right? So, and also now here's where we get back to the writing. So who is Danny Elfman's girlfriend at the time? Screenwriter Caroline Thompson. How funny. All in the family. It's a Burton family. So she had written Edward Scissorhands. So she already worked with Tim. She also wrote the Addams Family movie, the first one, iconic. She wrote Homeward Bound and The Secret Garden. So she had that great blend of family and some creepy fun, dark comedy, fantasy stuff, right? Yeah. So apparently she was upset that Tim did not reach out to her first, that he went to Michael McDowell from Beetlejuice, maybe because he just wanted that. This movie is basically like Beetlejuice's brother. Do you know what I mean? Do you feel that way? It's all the same DNA, right?
It's very gothic.
Very gothic, very goofy, very oddball. So oddball, right? So it makes sense. So she was a little, annoyed. And I feel for her because she's living with Danny Elfman. They're a couple. Danny's working on these songs. She's hearing them. She's like, I'm still not hired for this movie, right? That's got to be so weird. But so because Michael McDowell just couldn't get his shit together, finally Tim's like, hey, what about Caroline? And Danny's like, yeah. So then in comes this great screenwriter who apparently really fleshed out Sally. Apparently a lot of like the ideas were already in place. I know Henry Selick was very hands-on in scripting as well. He and Caroline, you might have heard this, and if I'm saying anything you know, Heather, just shut me up. But
No.
Henry and Caroline, I guess, butted heads because Henry was known to change things on his own, and she was a little bit more old school where she's like, the writer writes, the director directs, you gotta like talk to me first. But I guess, stop motion animation, things change each day. It's like, so I sort of get it, but they butt heads to the point where he had said, there are very few lines of dialogue that are actually Caroline's. She became busy on other films, and we were constantly rewriting, reconfiguring, and developing the film visually. So then that annoyed Caroline, and they just didn't get along. But she is most known for fleshing out the script and beefing up the role of Sally. Sally, apparently, thank you, right? Sally is... I mean, if everyone loves Jack Skellington, Sally's the character to really love. She's got the heart of gold. She's the wisest one. She knows what's going on, but, not everyone listens to her, sadly, and they should all along, right? And so she brought more heart to Sally. Apparently, in her words, Sally was maybe a little bit more kind of Jessica Rabbit. She was a little bit more sexy and didn't have as much going on. And so I'm so glad because I love her arc, how she's truly imprisoned by the doctor, and her songs are beautiful. Catherine O'Hara. Can we just, right? What do you think?
She's a queen. She's a Canadian icon. She's Night Before Christmas, Beetlejuice. We all, I think, grew up with her as Home Alone too.
Yes,
like she was also phenomenal. So her career is just...
Her career to this day has been so amazing. Schitt's Creek, right? Even I love a movie that not enough people talk about, Orange County. Do you remember Orange County? It was her and Jack Black and Colin Hanks. So fun. But she is great in everything. And you're so right. Yeah, can you imagine going from Beetlejuice to Home Alone 1 and 2 and now Nightmare Before Christmas? I mean, wow. Like, iconic career. So in comes Catherine O'Hara to do an excellent job, and seeing her sing these beautiful songs with her high-pitched voice, and it's so melancholy, so beautiful. Seeing her sing at the Barclays Center years ago, that was such a treat, right?
I melted.
Oh my God.
I was in awe.
Yeah.
Absolute awe.
Yeah. So that's basically kind of the turmoil and how things kind of came to be, how the creatives got in place. But as we know, sometimes the hardest shoots end up making the best movies that we can rewatch 30 years later and love every second of it.
What is this? It's someplace new.
Jack, look out!
What do you love about this movie? When you think of The Nightmare Before Christmas, what are some key scenes, key songs, characters? What do you love most?
Visually, I love Christmas Town also.
Yeah.
But What Have I Done makes the movie for me. When he is shot down, he falls on the angel in the cemetery and goes, I messed up and I have to make this right. And I really don't think that the movie would have as much gravitas and be as emotionally heavy if he didn't have that moment of realization. That to me that just makes the movie. But I love all things inventive. To me, Nightmare Before Christmas has the element of what people love in Star Wars, where everything is fabricated. Every single specific thing on the screen has been purposely put there and is somewhat close to what we recognize in the real world, but a little askew. So everything is just a little whimsical. Every detail, like the bedpost is a bear, a cutout of a bear. Every detail is thought of and purposeful, and that blows my mind. That nothing actually exists.
It's our most fun, bold Halloween dreams come to life in this movie, right? Apparently Tim Burton had a rule was there were supposed to be no right angles. Everything had to be a strange or, more acute or obtuse angle. No perfect right angles in Halloween Town, at least.
That makes sense.
And apparently so I had heard, I think this is correct. I don't know. You never know what you hear, if it's real or not. But apparently one of the first songs was What's This, which is so, but between What's This and This Is Halloween, I would say those two songs are probably the most famous from this movie. I feel like when you go into a store, they're playing one of those two songs if it's like Disney related, right? But,
so those are both door open songs.
Yes.
That's introduction to the world. So those are like
Yes.
theme songs to each world.
Great point. And maybe that's why they're so important and so good, you know, because apparently I heard What's This was one of the first songs they started on, and they actually started working on Christmas Town before, like designing it and coming up with the sketches before Halloween Town. Tim Burton apparently loved Christmas Town, the way they did it. He said, no notes, looks great. Halloween Town, he apparently said, no, like threw it all up in the air, like no. And he said, Halloween Town needs to be only 3 colors, black, white, and orange. I guess maybe they were going for more color. He's like, nothing else. And that's what makes these worlds so perfect is, Halloween Town is basically black and white, right? And then Christmas Town, we have so many luscious, beautiful colors, but especially like nice snowy blues and like warm greens from the lights, you know, and of course the reds with Santa, like the colors.
Yeah, brilliant reds.
Oh my, yes, right? The colors, like much like the light behind you. I'm like, they are so beautiful and so deep and they're so opposite.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
it's such a just juxtaposition that when he does see this new world with colors and brilliance, of course he's like, what is this? And he's enamored with it because it's so drastically different from what he knows.
Absolutely.
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack. This isn't fair. What is this?
I love how resourceful Sally is. I don't think Sally gets the appreciation that she deserves. She's the one who rescues Santa. She's the one who warns the. She puts the fog juice in to try to stop the sleigh from going when Jack is in the coffin with the reindeer skeletons. But she is the one. She is the voice of reason. And although she is almost trapped and doesn't have her own autonomy, like her maker, Dr. Finkelstein, is like, I made you. I own you. You will do what I say. She still has this rebellious heart, and yet she has the emotional intelligence to also be forgiving.
Exactly, Heather. Yes, you're so right, because she does not like the doctor, of course, and he has trapped her, but she doesn't hate him, which is so powerful. You know, you don't get a hateful bone in her body. She's like, he just doesn't know any better, right? She is so cool. And
she's
so
smart,
right.
like the spoon.
I love that. I love that shot where scrumptious, and like we see it like go through the little holes, you know, and then the spoon trick. Yes, when she knocks out the doctor. I love, and I sometimes forget, she has one of the coolest skills where she can just undo the stitches in her hands, and her hands, you know, can go help Santa, can go, you know,
she just backed Oogie Boogie with her leg, and it's just the leg.
Yes. Oh my God, yes, Oogie as well. What a great villain. And you know, we don't get a lot of him in the movie, but we get the perfect amount. He's this figure, you know, he's in the moon, you know, and I love his, in This Is Halloween, in the first song, I am the, you know, like, and we see him in the moon. He's this creature, this thing that people kind of hint at, but we only really see him in that final act, and it's perfect.
So I think I've read this before, that he has 5 minutes of screen time or something like that.
Is that it? Wow.
But his presence is so massive that you think he's this big component of the movie, but he's really only in it for 5 minutes.
Isn't that so funny? I'm always so shocked when people, you know, fans of a movie, like compile all the minutes that, like I just saw it done for Michael Myers, I think, for one of the sequels. And I'm like, that's it? I thought it would be way more, but it's funny how just certain shots of a villain especially go such a long way. It could just be a couple seconds and it's like, stuck in my mind, you know?
Well, you see him in the moon in the beginning, but it's like a moment.
It's a moment.
And it's just little shadows of him throughout the movie, but you only see him at the end. But he's so incredibly amazing. And again, we haven't had a movie like this. Like, I think one thing that we need to also mention is 30 years ago when this came out, or when we were all kids and we picked up on it whenever we did. Yeah. There was nothing like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we didn't have stop motion. So I could not believe what I was seeing on screen. How did they do this? Like, I think we're forgetting, how did they do this? How did they make a movie like this? And to me, that childlike fascination is something
Yeah.
that also I'm always reliving every time I watch the movie. I'm like,
Absolutely. Amen. I completely agree with you. Yeah, that's also, if you're a fan of this film, you, I think by nature, are curious in the skill, in the technical artistry of something like this. And I have a book upstairs. I should have brought it down and showed you. It's like, a coffee table book with pictures of making this film. And I mean, and I remember reading, you probably do too. Yeah. I remember reading it as a kid or a teen and like just being enthralled. Like, and I think this movie, I didn't really actually think about it until just now that you've said that. I think this movie actually unlocked a real interest in me as a kid. I stopped long ago, but I took animation classes and I feel like it
No
might have
way.
been because of this, nothing
Wow.
special. Just like, and I remember I was one of the youngest kids in the class. Like it was mostly, I think, for adults, but I that was also me in like acting class. I remember taking like a commercial acting class in the Philadelphia area, and I was the only kid, and there were like 10 adults, and I'm like, this is so weird, but it's all that's available for me. Now that never happens. Like when I have to teach an adult class and like a kid wants to do it, I'm like, I think it'll be okay, but like we're gonna curse. It's gonna get weird. But yeah, I was into animation, and I really do think it was Disney in general. Don't get me wrong. Loved. I mean, this was again the days of Aladdin and Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. Like early '90s Disney was cream of the crop, right? But especially this movie and how daring and bold and, like you said, unique. That was like something totally new for our young eyes. You would only see a little thing like this if it was like an MTV commercial or like some weird Ren and Stimpy, like some little quick thing that like you can't watch an hour and a half of that. That's
I think
not
the only thing I had was like Celebrity Deathmatch
yes. Oh my god.
on
I love
MTV.
Yes, Deathmatch.
But it
Oh,
was
I love
different.
that
It's
show.
not the same.
It's not the same. No, and that came out after this, right?
Yeah,
So
way
yeah,
after.
like this was truly this truly opened doors for sure. And it was nominated for an Oscar, which was the first for an animated film to be nominated for Best Visual Effects, which is amazing. It lost to Jurassic Park, came out the same year as Jurassic Park. So hard to top
They didn't know
that,
Well, yeah. Dinosaurs is a little tough.
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
we talk about how they made the facial expression? So I went to
Tell me, yeah.
a museum in LA. What's the Oscars Museum? It just opened up.
Ooh, okay,
So
fun.
that's what I did. My Christmas present to myself was I went with my friends and we went to Disneyland and we saw the Haunted Mansion that turns into the Nightmare Before Christmas ride. And it's only
my
for
God.
Halloween and Christmas.
Wow. Sign me up. I'm ready.
Right?
Okay, good. Good to know.
And then we went to the museum the next day and we saw all the faces of Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
So between every expression, they would have to almost like pop on a new head and it would just slightly be different. And there were like 50 different heads in this display case of just his expressions, not even body movements or anything else, just the expressions.
Oh my God.
So how intricate this was to create blows my mind. Even seeing it in front of me, I'm like,
It's
how did
amazing.
they put
It's
this
like
together?
it's like I so badly want to work on something like that, but I don't know if I have the patience. That is like it's like you said, it's so subtle. Like each head is just like a little bit lower, a little bit higher. Like wow. And I mean, oh my God, the notes. I would love to just read a binder of all their notes. Like, okay, what did that one? Like, right? They must have numbered everyone. Like, okay, head 2 is done. Head 3, going back to 2. All right, now we're skipping to 6. Right? Oh my God.
He's saying an S, this head. He's saying an A, this head. This.
Oh
And
my
that's
gosh.
like not even including background or scenery or camera movement. Another thing that blows my mind is the camera moves throughout this. And there's so much foreground. And as someone who's in film, just to see how they navigated through this world and how they move the camera with different expressions.
Yeah.
But they're doing that. It would take a week to get to that point. So how do you even know that that's going to work?
I know.
Or what it's going to look like?
Oh my gosh. And it's so funny to think because there were like 200 people that worked on this film. Of course. I bet even more, right? But like how funny, like the people shooting taken forever. And then I'm sure then they're giving it to like an editor who's done in like a day or less. Like, okay, that's it. All right. That's all I got for like the next week, like just the whole change in pace from each like department must have been so fascinating. Like, okay, I'm off for a couple weeks, And I think one of my most favorite things about this movie is the very first shot where we are in the woods. We are in that iconic circle of trees, and each tree has a different door to a different world or holiday.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Right off the bat, I was like, oh my God, I need this place to be real. I want to, and I'm actually shocked Disney by now has not created like a little Halloween Christmas town, right? Where you enter and you can just, I mean, isn't that a no-brainer? Open the door and go down a slide, and now you're in like, I don't know, a Halloween room, or that would be so fun.
I'm wondering if Tim Burton gatekeeps it, because I know he doesn't want a sequel, he doesn't want a prequel. I have to wonder if he just won't put his name on it, or he won't allow release of the license for things, because if there was a Nightmare Before Christmas theme park, even 30 years later, I think you'd get so many people to go.
Oh my God, it would be like the Disney version of Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, forget it. It would be perfect. But you bring up a great point. He might, because, yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because he was still kind of young in his director career, but because he came out of the gate with some massive, distinct movies, they let him have lots of control, and still to this day, of course. So you might be right. And part of me would kind of love like a prequel or just to see more of this world, but we can never. Yeah. Not a show, maybe like a short.
I don't know.
Film.
It's been 30 years.
Now, Leah, what do you think? Would you want to see more? Do you want to see a sequel, prequel? Like, what do you want to see?
I would see. Well, I think it almost have to be a sequel, just because I don't know if we get enough Sally in there. If it was a prequel, was she created? Was she made yet? But like we have a comic of Zero, so and I can't get my hands on it. I've tried. But there's such a market for it. I really think there should be something. And it's time. You've allowed it the respect that it deserved, but it's 30 years now. There's going to be a whole new audience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this was the same year Hocus Pocus came out, and how funny, two iconic Halloween, regulars, yet they neither did like amazingly well. So it's funny how Disney didn't really know how to like embrace these darker comedies, but of course we have Hocus Pocus 2, we're getting a third one, but something about Nightmare, even though you see Jack Skellington on hats, on shirts, I mean, he pops up, and Sally, they pop up at every film festival, horror convention, Disney World. I mean, their faces are everywhere, right? But we have not gotten any sort of continuation. I don't know, maybe with Disney Plus, I could be into maybe like a little short show, or I don't know, a movie seems risky. Something about like a TV show with a few episodes seems a little less risky, where they could kind of go into some new territory. A movie sequel, I'm like...
There's such a good cast of characters. Another reason why we love it. Like, so many cool characters. There's vampires, there's creatures with teeth, and I don't even know how to describe them. They're brand new monsters. We could definitely dive into more of their narratives.
You're right, there is such a deep world, and even on the Christmas side, and some of the most iconic imagery. Another scene I absolutely love, and I have a distinct memory laughing my ass off as a kid. A Christmas, when they're opening, all the parents are opening and the kids are opening the presents, and it's like the Beetlejuice worms coming at you, and it's like the head, like you said. Oh my God. And then the police station, hold on, like, oh my God, it's so funny that like even that could be its own spin-off movie or show, but it's a risk. But I kind of agree with you. I think if we actually go away from Jack and Sally, maybe they pop up, but like it's like Mickey and Minnie. We don't always need to see Mickey and Minnie. We got other characters we can play with in Disney World. You know what I mean? So there could be a whole Halloween town. Maybe it's just called Halloween Town or something. You're right. Or
I think Disney already made a couple.
Yeah, there's already Halloween Town. You're right. Oh my gosh, and that's also probably having another big anniversary. I know that was big on Disney Channel. But yeah, maybe there's like an offshoot. There's like a spin-off that I'm sure Disney wants to make so badly. So you're right. Something's up. Tim must have.
I think there could be a sequel.
Wall up. Yeah.
Jack and Sally got together in the end, so I would like to see their life played out on screen, because we only see a moment. We see their first kiss, and that's it.
Oh my gosh, you are getting me so excited for a sequel. And I'm sure some people listening are like, no, F that. I do not want it. But
Hocus Pocus just came back. Buffy's coming back in a radio show.
Yes,
that book,
I'm going to listen to it. Oh yeah? Well, how was it? Oh, that's right. You posted about it. So wait, have you listened to the audiobook or not yet?
Not yet, because I'm have like a chapter left in the book that I'm reading, which is based off Orphan Black, which is another.
Oh, love Orphan Black. Oh my God, Tatiana. Yeah. So wait, real quick, we have to talk about this because this is also part of this universe. Yeah. Where were you? Where'd you go to this Audible Buffyverse? Was it like a premiere party? What was it?
So it was at Comic-Con initially. So they did the kind of release party the day after it came out at Comic-Con.
Mm.
And then if you went to that event, they gave you a little pamphlet of where you can do an experience, a Buffy experience for the Audible premiere. And it was a couple blocks outside of Comic-Con. You waited online for like the Bronze, which was the nightclub they would all go to.
Yes.
And then when you went in, they had this 2-minute little stage thing with a mausoleum, and then they welcome you into the Buffy world. And there's a tarot card reader. There's a fake bar with little potions and concoctions that they'll give you. It was just so cool. And then there's this one room that you line up for, and there's a video playing, and you have some of the audiobook playing, so you'll get excerpts of the audiobook. And if you look down, it looks like it's going to infinity, and above, and it's going to infinity. And it was like almost like you're on an elevator ride, and you go through these different levels and see like through the graveyard. It was really cool. I know we're off on a tangent, but things are coming back.
Haven't you heard of peace on earth and goodwill toward men?
I don't know. Now you got me excited. I do need to see Nightmare 2. I don't know what it could be called. Maybe now, you know what could be fun is actually, what if the tables are turned and now Sally, I don't know if they would have a kid. I kind of like the idea of them not having a kid, and like they just sort of, you know, have the children of Halloween Town, and they're just kind of like all around, like, because I just feel like that's so obvious. But what if the tables are turned and Sally's the one that now has an obsession? She is a very smart, wise woman, but I wonder if there's something that's like drawing her. That could be kind of fun. And now Jack is drawn too, but he's got to kind of learn the lesson that Sally taught him long ago and bring her back to, you know, that could be kind of something. Or is that basic? I don't know. Maybe it's bad. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's bad at all. If you can tell the story correctly and have the characters do everything with the right intentions, again, you can mess up anything by accident. So totally. If they can figure that out, because she's a smart character, but everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, and like, you know, we could go back to Christmas Town because it is so iconic, or we could go to a totally different, you know, we saw the Easter Bunny for a second in the movie, Bunny, you know? So like we could go to another world.
Someone could be missing and they go through all of them.
Yeah, no matter what, in a sequel, we have to go.
Their child could be missing and could be in any of the world. Yes. I know you didn't want a child, but maybe not.
But maybe there is a little, you know, maybe there's Jackie and it's a cute little blend of them both, you know, with little red hair or something. That could be so cute. Oh my God.
Or someone cuts down the forest with all the trees.
Oh God. And now we're getting into like Fern Gully territory, another classic animated film of our youth. Ooh, that's good too. Yeah. We're like, yeah. And also I kind of want to see,
and like, the worlds are diminishing.
Show me more of like the trees. Like, is that like the real world? I assume so, right? Like, yeah, like show me more of that. Like, does a human open a door and like go into Halloween Town and like disrupt things? Like, yeah, there's actually so much we could do with this world that they've created.
And what did Santa bring you, honey?
Tell me, Heather, more about seeing it in 3D. Did it look good?
Oh my God, amazing. Please go watch it.
Yeah.
Just things popping out at you. And it really was like watching the same movie that I was familiar with, but it was completely different to me because I was looking at different things.
Yeah.
And this movie was made for 3D. I am not one who loves 3D because it takes me away from the story a lot of times, but I already know the story. So for this one, it was amazing to just see the depth of it, and just seeing it like a play made it a completely different experience. It just elevated it and made it different enough where I wanted to go see it. And was like, that was worth it 100%.
Wow. Love that. It was a whole new experience for you.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know it well. You could recite all the lines, but it felt new. Love that.
Yeah. There's things in the front that are right up against the screen and things far behind. So it was perfect for that kind of a screening for 3D.
Love it.
It's time for a scare in 3D so real. You feel like you're there.
quick shout out to the Troublesome Trio. I love their song, Kidnap Mr. Sandy Claus.
I want to do it. Let's draw.
I love that they're actors, that played multiple roles, because Catherine O'Hara is one of them. And of course, we know she's Sally. So I think they're so fun. They're in it a perfect amount. They're great with Santa, even how Jack is like, kind of scolding them. And, I think that they're just such a fun little side trio that has to be mentioned. You can't talk about this movie and not talk about them, right?
Yep. Little henchmen.
Henchmen, absolutely. Yeah, so good. And the scorpion and all that crazy stuff they're up to. But what else do you love? Any other favorite characters that we haven't mentioned? Anything you haven't mentioned yet?
I love all the characters. I mean, there's not one that I don't. I love Oogie Boogie's lair. And when they're trying to get Jack in there, there's like a lava pit in the center, and then there's the robots with the choppy
killer casino thing going on or something, right? Yeah.
And even like his sleigh is a coffin, Jack's sleigh, and just the fountain in the beginning is really cool.
Yes.
Do you know, I don't know if it's what kind of creature it is, and it's got the green tile. And then when Jack's doing his experiments and he's like crushing up the ornaments and fizzling out. Yeah,
absolutely.
No,
I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, it really feels like you are right there as he's crunching things, and things are like, whispering, all that kind of stuff. And also, I forgot to say, I mean, Jack Skellington has one of the most coolest in the world entrances, at that great part of the song, la, 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 and he rises from the fountain. I mean, it doesn't get cooler than that, guys. I mean,
we just have to say how cool the songs are in general. Every single one of them. Like, you go back for this to sing along.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, are you kidding? And each, because the movie is so good, the visuals are so good, whenever you're just listening to the songs, I mean, you are immersed in that world in your brain. Now, what would
you do it in the voices too.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry.
Oh, of course. I do. Oh, no. Oh, absolutely. You can't not go deep and then go high, Oh, absolutely. Now, what would you say is your favorite song from the film? Do you have you had to, what's your number one?
Maybe when he does the Shakespeare. That might be one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
I can take off my head and recite Shakespearean quotations.
Oh, yes. Sing it, Heather. Oh, my God. Yeah. Yes, he's so good. I mean, I know it's maybe basic. Everyone's going to say it, but this is Halloween. It really is like, it's just so good. It sounds good. The lyrics are so fun, spiders in my hair, I just, I'm trying to think.
Sally's song is sad.
I love Sally's song.
It's beautiful.
And when the guys are playing like their instruments, to the same beat. And I love the ending. I love the two of them singing her song, now and forever. It's so, like I said, it's so melancholy, but beautiful and hopeful. And I got to just shout out that cool, like, little hill they're on that has the
when it's
spindly thing, and then it comes, it stretches out, and
it elongates, and he walks down it.
Yeah, the poster of the movie is that, but what a
wait, I do have a favorite moment, and
tell me.
At the end, when even though Jack is screwed up everything, he has this redemption moment, and he realizes Sally's been there forever, and they have that kiss, but it snows. Santa gives them the gift of snow because he realizes that Jack tried, and he wants to give Christmas Town the magic that Jack had been trying to give to the Halloween Town. He wants to give them a little magic.
Yes.
And I think when it snows, that to me is just a beautiful moment.
Yeah. It's you know what? It's perfect because it's how the worlds should overlap, is just that. And hopefully every Christmas it actually does snow in Halloween Town. I think that'd be
in real life,
cute, right? That'd be really nice. What'd you say?
And in real life, I want snow on Christmas.
More of my Halloween-loving friends are here to rave about The Nightmare Before Christmas. So, we have cameos from Kit Sheehan and Jeff Frummis. Here's Kit.
I am standing in my kitchen in Los Angeles right now, and I am holding my VHS copy of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas from when I was a little baby. This movie has meant so much to me throughout the years. My amazing Nightmare Before Christmas story is when I was like 8, my mom and I went out to eat, and it was like, breadstick time. We were just waiting for our food, and I was writing in my little Pocahontas journal because I had a journal for the Disney animated film Pocahontas. And I'm writing in my journal, and she leans over to see, and she was like, "Hun, what is this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's I'm the one hiding under your stairs. Fingers like snakes and spiders in my hair. This is just poetry from my favorite movie of all time." She thought I was literally just like writing from the point of view of some kind of strange bed creature, some kind of horrible monster. But no, I was actually quoting some amazing monsters in the sweetest and loveliest and spookiest children's movie that's also for adults, that's also for everyone, that has ever existed.
This is Jeff Frumess from youtube.com/Frumess, Frumess. And I just want to say that The Nightmare Before Christmas is, without a doubt, the greatest stop-motion animation musical of all time. I mean, it's one of the great musicals of all time, too, so it's got that going for it. The fact that Henry Selick could direct a musical in stop-motion animation form is just mind-boggling even 30 years later. The songs are timeless and classic. They deal with themes of, it's weird. I don't want to use the word cultural appropriation, but it's kind of that, it's cultures clashing and trying to understand how each other work and having a healthy sort of respect for what each one of us or what each other do in our rituals and beliefs while maintaining, clear boundaries, as Jack Skellington will come to learn. There's also themes of paganism and Christianity, the fact that Halloween started off as a pagan holiday called Samhain, and the idea of these, essentially, what you would consider possibly pagans adopting Christian traditions, or Christian traditions being absorbed into Samhain traditions. It all ties together. It's also one of the only movies that is a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie all at the same time. You can watch it in any season. It's the best.
Touchstone Pictures presents the enchanting story of two very special dreamers and the holiday spirit that brought them together. From the imagination of Tim Burton comes The Nightmare Before Christmas.
My last comment just has to be to watch it again and watch a different character every time.
That is a great homework for everyone, for sure. Because there's so much going on that, you really could watch this 20 times and you're gonna see a whole story there, with someone new. Yeah.
And it to me, this is the holiday spirit. So I watched this, the first time I watched it is right before Halloween. And I think that kicks off the season, and it just brings a smile to my face every single time. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be joyful in 20 years. I'll probably still have fond memories. I will have fond memories of watching this.
Oh yeah. It's so special. It's truly so special. And something like turned on in us, right? Like that is so cool.
Creative
so
spark.
Special.
Engaged right there. And it will never really age, which is the coolest part.
Yes, that's so brilliant. It will always look so good because it's all that beautiful stop motion, and then
nothing's ever outdated.
4K, and then they'll redo it in 8K and whatever. It's just always going to look good. It'll never look dated. It'll never date itself. There's nothing to date it, Yeah. And now I want to write fan fiction. I feel like, okay, Heather, this is what's going to happen in this part, and then right.
And Lock, Stock, and Barrel will be the main characters in this one.
Yes, we need them to come back, and maybe they're like the new ultimate villain. Maybe that could be funny if they've actually grown, they've grown up, and so they're taller, and they've sort of taken over a domain of Halloween Town or something, and they want to do something bad because Oogie's gone, right?
As long as we get Catherine O'Hara back, I'm in.
Oh, she's got to come back. Come on. Yeah, absolutely. If she came back and sang so well a few years ago at Barclays, she can do it. Are you kidding?
Yep.
Goddess. Thanks, everybody, for listening to or watching this episode of Release Date Rewind. And thank you very much, Heather Drew, for chatting with me about the great Nightmare Before Christmas before you had to get up early for a shoot. You guys can follow Heather on Instagram at Heather Drew Acting to see what good stuff she's up to. And if you haven't watched our film from 2016, Heather starred in my short film Sticks. So you can check that out online on YouTube, Vimeo. It's on a few different things, Prime. You can find it. Sticks, Mark J. Parker, you'll find us. Also, big thanks to our cameo voices rounding out our cast for this episode. Kit and Jeff, thank you all. Leave a rating or review if you liked what you heard or watched. And thank you, Straw Hat Media, Greg Clements, and Kyle Motzinger. Follow me on Instagram at Release Date Rewind to see more content from our chat and from this great movie, and to see what we'll be talking about next time on the show. Here's a hint, everybody. We are staying in 1993 for November. What could it be? Bye.